I often hear people say in church, you must respect our pastor. He is appointed by God. And yes, there is truth in that. The Bible does tell us to honor those who lead us spiritually. But we've got to be careful not to confuse being appointed by God with being of God. Let me explain. In Romans chapter 13, verse 1, Paul says, there is no authority except that which God has established. Now that verse means God allows leaders to rise. But it doesn't mean he endorses everything they do. Well, think about the Pharaoh in Egypt. Think about King Saul. Or think about even Caiaphas, the high priest who condemned Jesus. They were in positions of power, anointed by God, but their hearts were far from God. So yes, leaders and shepherds of churches are appointed, but not all lead in harmony with God's character. See, Jesus has warned us in Matthew chapter 7, verse 15, and I quote, beware of false prophets who come in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves, unquote. So my friends, in other words, don't be fooled by titles, by ropes, by charisma, or indeed a theology degree from a university. Look at the fruit, because as Jesus said in Matthew 7:20, by their fruits you will know them. So a true leader of God doesn't demand blind loyalty. They lead like Jesus, humble, compassionate, transparent, and focused on healing hearts, not controlling, manipulating people, or building a career. When leadership becomes manipulative and self-serving or power-driven, that is not the Spirit of Christ anymore. You see, even Paul said in Galatians chapter 1, verse 8, it says, if we or an angel from heaven preach a different gospel, let them be under God's curse, unquote. So my friends, in other words, no one, not even a pastor or an apostle, gets free pass to misrepresent God. So yes, indeed, respect your pastor. Pray for your leaders, but remember you are not to give up your right of discernment. God calls us to follow truth, not titles. Amen to that.